Hello friends, I am Nisha Sharma, Associate Professor, Department of English. The topic that we are going to discuss today is an introduction to George Gordon Byron and his poem Childe Harold. George Gordon Byron, 6th Baron Byron, was born on 22nd January 1788. He is known simply as Lord Byron and was a British peer who was a poet and politician. He was one of the leading figures of the Romantic movement and is regarded as one of the greatest British poets. He remains widely read and influential. Among his best known works are the lengthy narrative poems Don Juan and Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Many of his shorter lyrics and Hebrew melodies also became popular. The most confident, lively, and notorious of the major English Romantic poets, George Gordon Lord Byron was likewise the most fashionable poet of the early 1800s. He created an immensely he created an immensely popular romantic hero, defiant, melancholy, haunted by secret guilt, which to many he seemed the model. He is also a romantic paradox, a leader of the era's poetic revolution. He named Alexander Pope as his master, a worshipper of the ideal. He never lost touch with reality, a deist and freethinker. He retained from his youth a Calvinist. Calvinist is one who had a strong belief in supernatural powers that control human destiny. He retained from his youth a sense of original sin. He championed liberty in his works and deeds, giving money, time, energy, and finally his life to the Greek War of Independence. His specific personality found expression in satire, verse narrative, ode, lyric, speculative drama, historical tragedy, confessional poetry, dramatic monologue, serio-comic epic, and voluminous correspondence written in Spencerian stanzas, heroic couplets, blank verse, tertia rima, ottava rima, and vigorous prose. In his dynamism, sexuality, self revelation, and demands for freedom for oppressed people everywhere. Byron captivated the Western mind and heart as few writers have, stamping upon 19th century letters, arts, politics, even clothing styles, his image and name as the embodiment of Romanticism. Now, the early life. George Gordon Noel Byron was born with a club right foot in London on January 22nd, 1788. He was the son of Catherine Gordon of Guide, an impoverished Scotch heiress, and Captain John, who was absent for the birth of his only son, and eventually decamped for France as an exile from English creditors, where he died in 1791 at 36. Emotionally unstable, Catherine Byron raised her son in an atmosphere variously colored by her excessive tenderness, fierce temper, insensitivity, and pride. She was as likely to mock his lameness as to consult doctors about its correction. Early schooling instilled a devotion to reading and especially a grand passion for history that informed much of his later writing. Now, the inheritance of title. With the death in 1798 of his great uncle at the age of 10, the fifth Lord Byron, George became the sixth Baron Byron of Rockville, heir to Newstead Abbey. The family sat in Nottinghamshire. He enjoyed the role of landed nobleman, proud of his coat of arms with its mermaid and chestnut horses surmounting the motto Great Byron, means Trust Byron. Byron attended Trinity College, Cambridge intermittently from October 1805 until July 1808, when he received a M.A. degree. He employs heroic couplets for satiric effect in the manner of Alexander Pope, who was a model for Byron throughout his career. Groups of verses on a single subject show his understanding of the effectiveness of multiple points of view. It was as a published poet that Byron returned to Cambridge in June 1807. Besides renewing acquaintances, he formed an enduring friendship. In March 1809, 2 months after attaining his majority, he took his seat in the House of Lords. Now, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is a long narrative poem in 4 parts written by Lord Byron. The poem was published between 1812 and 1818. Dedicated to Anne, it describes the travels and reflections of a world-weary young man who is disillusioned with a life of pleasure and revelry and looks for distraction in foreign lands. In a wider sense, it is an expression of the melancholy and disillusionment felt by a generation weary of the wars of the post-revolutionary and Napoleonic eras. The title comes from the term child, a medieval title for a young man who was a candidate for knighthood. The poem contains elements thought to be autobiographical, as Byron generated some of the storyline from experience gained during his travels through Portugal, the Mediterranean, and Aegean Sea between 1809 and 1811. Throughout the poem, Byron, in character of Childe Harold, regretted his wasted early youth, hence re-evaluating his life choices and redesigning himself through going on the pilgrimage, during which he lamented various historical events, including the Iberian Peninsular War, among others. Despite Byron's initial hesitation at having the first 2 cantos of the poem published, because he felt it revealed too much of himself, it was published at the urging of friends by John Murray in 1812 and brought both the poem and its author to immediate and unexpected public attention. Byron later wrote, I awoke one morning and found myself famous. The first 2 cantos in John Murray's edition were illustrated by Richard Westall, well-known painter and illustrator who was then commissioned to paint portraits of Byron. Published on March 3, 1812, the first run of 500 quarto copies sold out in 3 days. There were 10 editions of the work within 3 years. Byron was plunged into a period of prolonged mourning. His mother died on August 2 before he set out for New State. Whatever her failing, she had loved her son, taken pride in his accomplishment, and managed New State economically in his absence. I had but one friend in the world, he exclaimed, and she is gone. News of the deaths of 2 classmates followed hard upon this his sorrow. Later, in January 1812, Byron resumed his seat in the House of Lords. The pilgrim narrator of Canto 4 in Childe Harold's Pilgrimage focuses sharply on the contrast between the transience of mighty empires, exemplified by Venice and Rome, and the transcendence of great art over human limitations, change, and death. The days of Venice glory are no more, but beauty still is there here. Nature doth not die. Literature too is permanent and beneficial. The sic transit gloria mundi theme in Childe Harold finds its finest Byronic expression in this canto, which traces through their history and ruins the dying glory of Venice and especially the fall of Rome. In his famous apostrophe to the ocean, beginning, roll on thou deep and dark blue ocean room, Byron contrasts its permanence, power, and freedom with vanished civilizations. Thy shores are empires, changed in all save thee. Syria, Greece, Rome, Carthage, what are they? The ocean remains, dark heaving, boundless, endless, and sublime. The image of eternity, melancholy colors the farewell. Byron knew that the child hero theme had died into an echo. On April 9, having been soaked by heavy rain while out riding, Byron suffered fever and rheumatic pains. By the 12th, he was seriously ill. Repeated bleedings further debilitated him. On Easter Sunday, he entered a comatose state at 6 o'clock on the evening of Easter Monday, April 19, 1824. During a violent electrical storm, Byron died. In memorial services throughout the country, he was proclaimed a national hero of Greece. His death proved effective in uniting Greece against the enemy and in eliciting support for its struggle from all parts of the civilized world. Byron's body arrived in England on June 29 and for 2 days lay in state in a house in Great George Street, London. On Friday, 16 July 1824, Lord Byron was buried in the family vault beneath the chancel of Hucknall Toppard Church near Newstead Abbey. The fame to which Byron awoke in London in 1812 was spread rapidly throughout Europe and the English-speaking world by scores of translations and editions. His influence was pervasive and prolonged. Philosophically and stylistically, Byron stands apart from the other major romantics. He was the least insular, the most cosmopolitan of them. Poetic imagination was not for him, as for them, the medium of revelation of ultimate truth. Lacking the innovation of his contemporaries, Byron created verse that is spontaneous, concrete, and lucid. Thank you.